Hello, I'm Perry from Rennet and Rind, and I am here today to talk to you about this box full of cheese, full of British artisan cheese that you would have either bought for yourself or gifted to someone or received as a gift, more than likely. And I'm the person who's been responsible for putting these boxes together for coming up to 4 years now. So I've got a little bit of experience in it. So the whole idea behind it is support British cheesemakers. Everything comes from this maturation room. They're really honed in profiles. We're affineurs here. We do brushing, washing. You know, we look at that timeline of a cheese and how long it's got to go. And we go, it's perfect here. And we take a couple of those cheeses that have been in the maturing room and we provide some supporting ones straight from the cheesemakers. But that just varies. I just want to give you the best of the month. So yeah, like it's kind of difficult like this month because normally it's like heavily weather based. I'm like, I'm going to do this, that, and this because the weather would be like this. More people will be outside, more people will be in. And typical British weather, it's like that. So I'm doing a bit of a half and half. And, you know, they'll be lovely on both days. But that's kind of the vibe that I'm getting. Something kind of that can be eaten outside, eaten inside if it's raining, eaten watching the football, fingers crossed. Yeah, that's kind of the idea for this month. So I'm really pleased with the 5 cheeses I've selected. I'm also a world cheese judge. I've judged in Bergamo, Oviedo, Norway twice, and I've also been Britain's first ever affineur of the year, the first 2 years of running the competition. Last year I was dethroned, I went into judging, I didn't enter any cheese, and a lovely chap called Owen won it, deservedly so, and I really enjoyed loving the event and judging at the event. So check it out, Affineur of the Year. It's a big deal maturing cheese. It was a small industry when I started 13 years ago, but it's just gradually growing because people are respecting the craft way, way more. Anyway, intro over, you're like waiting to eat and I'm just yabbering on. So let's start with our first cheese. First cheese we have up is Sussex Brie. Now, quick reminder, you've got your tasting notes here and your care notes in there as well. So if you're having a nice time and you want to continue not listening to me or pressing pause, you can read through those. They give just as much details. This is more just like a kind of, I don't eat these 5 cheeses for like a week and a half. So this is like kind of my fresh reaction to kind of give you that synergy what I get at it as a world cheese judge. So yeah, Sussex Brie made by Allsop and Walker, Arthur. So this is a real kind of easygoing, not too overly complex brie. So the style of it is like that kind of idea that it's kind of entry level that everyone would like, everyone would be familiar with. It's got this really great texture at the moment, really pudgy, still a little bit cold in the maturing rooms. That will loosen up with you guys. The aroma's great. The aroma's like mushrooms. It's like that punnet of mushrooms you rip open, to do a stir fry. It is just like that, like some chestnut mushrooms. So yeah, let's dig in. I'm hungry. Let's dig in and see how we get on. So try and get a piece of that and then do that. So we've got just that strong mushroomy. The colour is interesting, really kind of good colouring in there. Means I think it's going to be very milky. So we go. Lovely texture. Kind of congeals together. Loads of milk, dairy, freshness. Not too much mushroom, which I wasn't anticipating. Like double cream. Kind of got that note of a Delice de Bourgogne, a triple creme cheese. It's kind of like the old bottles of milk you'd get with the fat on the top. Kind of eating that. Really milky. I'm really pleasantly surprised by that. I thought that was going to be in this vein, which is, not that I would give you a bad cheese, but in this vein, but a lot more lighter, when actually the dairy and the milk and the double cream note is really quite powerful. Very cheesy, obviously. Yeah, good job. I think that's a good opener. Not too challenging, works. Obviously, we're eating these cheeses in order. They do everything to one another, so it's important that you follow the order. It will just unlock a lot more for you. Next up is Pecorino Fresco. So this is made by Mario in the Yorkshire Dales. Really lovely guy. And his other half is lovely as well. Lovely couple, actually. And he does a range of sheep's milk cheeses that, we've got Pecorino Blue, which isn't in my blue section. I'm currently in the blue section, Pevensey here, and the Duke here. So he does a hard one. So he kind of does a graduating style up. And this is the Fresco. So this is like 4 to 7 weeks old, like really, really fresh. It's got this beautiful color. Sheep's milk is more ivory in color than yellow than most cheeses. It's got this kind of natural rind that's forming on there. And the aroma is very milky again, but more leading into that citrus edge, which is good. That's kind of what I wanted to be. So this cheese is going to be like your crutch. So essentially, I'm going to go a little bit outside of the kind of the norm. And this cheese you can kind of dip into throughout the process. It will cleanse the palate, hopefully. So yeah, nice aroma. Nice elastic chew, but firm. Very neutralizing. Very kind of like bitter. Ooh, that rind's nice. Kind of like, the rind is really nice. Very winey, actually. Very kind of like a white wine, maybe an orange wine kind of area. But in the middle, just really kind of clean, bitter, sparkling water, spritz, kind of cleansing. And that's why I'm explaining. Literally use this to cleanse your palate. Like it literally helps erase. So if you really want to engage in one cheese really in depth, then use this to cleanse your palate. Nice. Once again, really pleasant and easy going. Next cheese up. Literally like, just double checking that I'm in the right place. Literally like one of the most well-known cheeses that is made in the UK, Lincolnshire Poacher. Now we haven't had it in the box a while because everyone feels like they know it. But I was in the shop, I shop in Stamford, opened 8 months ago, going really well. If you're ever in Stamford, pop your head in and say hello. We'd love to meet you and you guys to eat loads of cheese with us. So I was in the shop 2 weeks ago, and I find myself guilty of steering away from Poacher because I feel like I know it intensely. So I tend to skip over it. And I just thought, oh, you know what, that looks kind of different. It looks slightly younger in the interior. The graduation halo on the outside seems pretty good. I'll give it a go. And it just happened to be, I mean, I try the cheeses all the time, but it's just something that I was like, I'm going to take that piece of cheese home with me. And I really, really enjoyed it. So this is from the same batch as that. So we got this kind of cheddar-y, kind of like Parmesan-esque, if you ever smell Parmesan, slightly butrific kind of area, but nothing too crazy. You know, a little bit kind of like nutty as well. Like it's got a very much walnut kind of vibe to it at the moment. Let's have a taste. Love the texture. It's such a relief going from those textures, which are kind of similar but different, to that. It's got some chew, makes you work a little bit. That flavour is phenomenal. I mean, it's like some of the best Alpine style cheeses you'd get from the mountains in France or Switzerland or whatever. It's got that real nutty, ferment, fruity kind of flavour to it. It's got the right amount of peppering and drawing on it. That complexity is massive. It's got a good histamine hit in it as well. So you get that kind of little kind of dancing around going on. That is a really, really special profile of Poacher. And I hope you enjoy it. Lovely people that make it, Tim and Simon Jones, the most nicest people in the world, deserve all the success they get. Beautiful farm. So that's unpasteurized, traditional rennet, cheddar style, but cooked milk, so it's got more in common with an Alpine. That is delicious. And that will be our batch moving forward. So if you really do like that, go online and order yourself a chunk. It'll last for ages. That is delicious. I'm going to be using that a lot. Next cheese up we have is Connage Gouda. See, I love this cheese. Hasn't been in the box for quite some time. The profile is coming through really well. Just take the rind off there because you've got a little bit of plastic coat to protect it from drying out. Yeah, I really like this cheese. This cheese eluded me for ages. I kind of would do the virtual cheese awards, the Melton Mowbray cheese awards, and I'd do cheese awards, and I'd always end up having this cheese. But being a judge, everything's blind. I couldn't find out what it was. And it was only until I think it was Melton Mowbray, and I said to Matthew's the guy that runs the British Artisan Cheese Awards in Melton Mowbray, I need to know what that cheese is because I've been bumping into it forever. That was about 1.5 to 2 years ago. It's made by the Clark family, Inverness in Scotland, and I just love it. I mean, that aroma, that's got very more kind of like, where that was walnutty vibes, this has more of a caramel kind of, making your own caramel and those kind of aromatics kind of come off it, with a little bit of savouriness at the back, but nothing too much. That Poacher is still going. Let's have a taste. So we've got a little bit of crystal around the edge. A little bit of crunch, that's nice. That sweet caramel, butterscotch, all the typical areas you'd expect. A little bit of smokiness, a little bit of bacon, kind of mixed up. Difficult to pull apart, really beautiful tasting. And a slight little cheddar here. There's something cheddary about it. Really, really Moorish. I think, you know, if you've got kids around, I think this will be the one for them. That's very, very addictive. Nice texture as well, again. Makes you work, but far more smoother than the Poacher. Final cheese for you. Pevensey Blue, which is in these rounds here. So it's a kind of Gorgonzola style, but not. This is a slightly younger profile. We haven't done our drying out procedure in this. So normally if you've had Pevensey from us before, we put it in a room over there, which is like a drying room. It sucks out the moisture in a really quick way. And then we unwrap it, put it in these rooms, because this is a decent humidity, so it doesn't use any moisture, and becomes far more thicker, set, and very, very more rambunctious. This is, you know, not doing that process. So a little bit more smoothness that's in there, and less pronounced to kind of balance with the others. So yeah, got this beautiful rind on the outside, so much diversity going on there in terms of culture. Oh, lovely cuttable. That's nice to have, because you know, we've been going through our profile for a while. Good bluing, nice and dark. It's made by Martin and Hazel, probably the loveliest cheesemakers in the industry. And they gave us a call and said, oh, could you help us out with a few more rounds and stuff like that? I was like, yeah, sure. Cheese is great. We're positioning it in for 2 months' time so we can mature some cheeses around it. This is what we have. Kind of a little bit more bitter than I'm used to. More winey. Let's have a taste. Challenging. Very spicy. Yeah, like a blue lover's blue, essentially. You've got that strength that's in there, that pepperiness, that tartness that's in there, a little bit of bitterness, lovely degree of mineral and freshness when it leaves the palate. Great texture as well. Spreadable like fudge. Lasts and lingers for long. More on the kind of like spicy, aromatic, little bit kind of histamine, not histamine, chlorine, spicy that's in there. Gets better as you eat more of it, actually. I mean, that sounds terrible for me to say, but at front, you've had a kind of a gentle journey. This is a little bit more stompy, a little bit more hits you a little bit, that bitterness note that comes in. Nice, that is. It's got that wine element, almost like wine gummy, but not. Really interesting. Yeah, and that's your 5 cheeses. So guys, I hope you enjoyed. Leave us a review, tell your friends about us. We're a small independent business. We've been doing this for quite a while, and we just love more people hearing about us, our packaging, what we do. You know, reviews are difficult. You know, independent scene is a tough scene to be in, you know, when you've got massive conglomerates around you, supermarkets competing against you. And reviews are just a small way to say, we appreciate you, keep on going, and we love to share them with the team. So, you know, if you're watching this and you've got this far to me doing my little outro, how about just go online, just give us a 5-star review. It'd be easy done. Anyway, thank you very much, guys. Enjoy your July. Good luck, England.